Remember, the Queen is celebrating her official birthday, her 92nd birthday, and celebrations have well and truly begun right outside Buckingham Palace. We wanted to get you these visuals. They promised to be a treat. Remember, the Queen turned 92 in April of this year, but as is tradition in the royal family, a second birthday celebration is always held in the summer when more people perhaps can participate and enjoy the festivities surrounding the monarch's birthday. So there you have it. This is, of course, the exterior of Buckingham Palace. A number of people have already gathered there to wish Her Majesty well. These are termed the Queen's official birthday celebrations. There was a concert that took place in April, a more informal affair when the Queen turned 92. A number of singers from Kylie Minogue and others had participated in that big event at the Albert Hall in London. This time around, the event is taking place at Buckingham Palace itself. Right, so as we're waiting for things to begin there in London, let me go across to Elizabeth Norton. She is a British historian and she specializes in the history of the royal family. Elizabeth, thank you for speaking with us here at WION. Why two birthdays is a question I think is on the minds of a lot of people.
I mean, it's largely because of the weather. The decision was taken to celebrate the monarch's birthday back in the 18th century. And unfortunately, some monarchs have winter birthdays or birthdays when the weather's not so great. So from the early 20th century, they decided, let's move it to June, which is generally when it's celebrated.
Right. And what can we expect to happen today as part of the celebrations?
I mean, it's going to be an absolutely fabulous celebration. So all the battalions and the military groups will be there trooping their colours, so they'll be marching. They will be responding to 113 spoken commands in their drills. The Queen, of course, will arrive with the royal family in carriages. The 1st Battalion of the Irish Guards will be the battalion who are presenting their colours to the Queen, so they're showing their flags and their military banners. Later on, the royal family will appear on the balcony at Buckingham Palace, and then there will be a flyby by the Royal Air Force. So it's going to be a fabulous day.
Well, it promises to be one for certain. Has there ever been a year, Elizabeth, when there hasn't been an official celebration?
In the Queen's reign, there's only been one year where it was cancelled, and that was unfortunately 1955, and that was cancelled because of a rail strike. They simply couldn't get the military personnel to London in time for the celebration.
And a last question before we let you go. I was just wondering about the celebration that took place in April. That was a bit out of the ordinary as well. Why do you think the Queen chose to have such a public celebration at 92?
I think, really, I mean, it's such an achievement that she's reached 92. No British monarch has ever come anywhere near that age. So it's absolutely fabulous achievement. And I think she wants to share it with the population. And I think, you know, I hope she'll have many more birthdays to come.
All right, Elizabeth Norton, stay with me a second longer. Just as we're looking at some more visuals that are coming in from London. A grand celebration, as Elizabeth was pointing out for us, is expected for Queen Elizabeth, the first British monarch to reach the grand old age of 92. She turned 92 in April, but this official celebration taking place in June, largely on account of the summer. The skies there in London look bright and sunny today, not usually what one expects from tricky weather in London as it's described. And so a lot of fanfare and pomp is expected to be on display shortly. We are, of course, bringing you these live visuals from London as members of the public gather to see the celebrations of Queen Elizabeth's 92nd birthday. Elizabeth, since you're with us, while we're waiting for things to begin officially there in London, also, who all from the royal family are expected to be a part of the celebration, and who tend to be part of the celebration year on year?
It tends to be the entire wider royal family. So, of course, the Duke of Edinburgh, providing he's well enough, will be there. He was certainly able to attend the royal wedding recently. Prince Charles, the Duchess of Edinburgh, his wife, and of course Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, his wife. Excitingly, it's going to be Meghan, Duchess of Sussex's first visit, so first time that she'll be in attendance, so that's lovely to see. And we may catch a glimpse of Prince Louis. Certainly Prince George and Princess Charlotte will be with their parents, and hopefully baby Prince Louis, who's obviously only a couple of months old, will be there as well, which will be fabulous. The Queen's younger children also tend to attend with their own families, so it's lovely to see the Queen there with her children, her grandchildren and her great-grandchildren.
Right, and we just saw a number of carriages making their way out of the Buckingham Palace. I think I caught a glimpse of at least Prince Harry and Meghan Markle there. If I can ask you, what exactly is going to happen next? Where are these carriages headed, and when can we expect to see the Queen herself?
They're headed to Horse Guards Parade, which is where everything is happening. So that's a great area. It's covered in sand for the horses, and it's surrounded today by stands for spectators. So they'll be heading there, and the Queen should be out fairly shortly. Obviously, she comes out last as the main attraction of the event.
Right, and those cheers, of course, for the newly married Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, who is now, of course, the Duchess of Sussex. They're making their way across from Buckingham Palace to the place, in fact, where all the celebrations are going to take place. We might catch a glimpse of Prince Louis, the latest member of the royal family as well. Actually, not the latest member. He joined the family shortly before Meghan Markle did. He did give the royal wedding a skip, but he is expected to be present at the Queen's celebrations today. All right, so the fanfare, so to speak, has already begun. The march also starting. Of course, we're hearing snatches of the band starting up there in London. Members of the royal family have already exited the Buckingham Palace. Among them, of course, the newly monikered Duke and Duchess of Sussex. They've just left the Buckingham Palace. We are waiting for a first glimpse of Queen Elizabeth II. This is the celebration, the official celebration of her 92nd birthday. She happens to have two birthdays in the year, one of course on the actual date, which is in April, and then again in June, when the weather seems to be more appropriate for members of the public to gather and enjoy the celebration of Britain's longest reigning monarch's birthday. Elizabeth Norton, a British historian, is joining us also on the broadcast from London itself to talk more about the celebrations. And I suppose, Elizabeth, one of the reasons why this happens at this time is because more people can enjoy. Isn't this holiday season for schools as well, and tourist season in the United Kingdom as well?
It is. It's certainly tourist season. So London is absolutely full of foreign tourists at this time of year. Children are mostly at school at the moment, but obviously on a Saturday in the UK they don't attend school, so they're able to go and see or at least watch the parade on television if they can't get there. But again, because it's all held in the outside, even if you're not lucky enough to get tickets actually for Horse Guards Parade, you can still attend the parade route and catch a glimpse of the royal family as they pass, and also some of the military personnel. So it's a fabulous event.
Right, and the Queen, I suppose, is going to ride in a carriage herself, but she is an equestrian in her own right. Has there been a time when she's chosen to participate in the event by riding a horse over to the event or the venue of the celebrations?
She did. Up until the mid-80s, she always rode. So she would ride side saddle in her full military uniform. Since the 1980s, I think, as a concession for her age, she's attended in a carriage, but she always used to ride.
Well, there she is. She is in a carriage. She's finally made her way out of Buckingham Palace to many, many cheers. She's dressed in blue, standing out as usual. And that too, I suppose, is a choice that's made on purpose, Elizabeth. The choice of colour. We always see Queen Elizabeth II in bright colours. She was in parrot green at the royal wedding, and today she's chosen this aquamarine blue.
That's right. So a great deal of thought goes into the colour that the Queen will wear, and people always hotly anticipate what it will be. It's a bright colour, so she can be seen. She's obviously the central figure in this and most other events. And other members of the royal family will take care not to wear the same colour as the Queen, so that she truly stands out.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned that, we're seeing, I think, the Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla, as well as Kate there, also in a carriage, and both of them, of course, choosing to wear muted shades of teal in stark contrast to the Queen herself, who is dressed in a bright blue this afternoon. And there we have it. The visuals there on your screen tell you how popular this event is. So many people have gathered for the official celebration of Queen Elizabeth II's birthday. She's turned 92 in April, but official celebrations underway in London right now as we speak. Going by the number of people who've gathered today, Elizabeth, it does seem that there is a strong relationship between the public and the monarchy. But has it always been so? Have people looked upon this celebration as an excess over the years as well?
I mean, the monarchy certainly haven't gone uncriticised over the years, particularly the early 1990s. The Queen, in fact, referred to one year as her sort of an Alice Horribilis, so worst ever year. It was just disaster after disaster. And the popularity of the royal family around the death of Princess Diana as well was particularly low at times. But certainly in recent years, the Queen, her popularity just goes from strength to strength. Many of the younger members of the royal family, particularly Duchess Kate and also, of course, Duchess Meghan, are very, very popular. And I think in general it's considered a wonderful celebration, Trooping of the Colour, to really celebrate a woman who has served her country longer than any other monarch and is now 92 years old.
Absolutely. And of course, you mentioned the Duchesses, Kate and Meghan. They've recently become members of the royal family. And I suppose their arrival and, of course, the youth of Prince Harry and Prince William have sort of made the monarchy seem more approachable for the public at large.
That's right. They are very much leading a modernising move in the monarchy. So they are presenting themselves as a modern family, particularly Duchess Kate comes from a fairly ordinary family. Duchess Meghan, of course, is an American actress, also comes from a fairly ordinary family. So they've really breathed new life into the monarchy, and certainly they seem more approachable these days. And the youth, I think, also is very important.
Indeed. And stay with me a while longer. We'll just let our viewers get the entire impact of these wonderful visuals on our screens right now of the official celebration of the Trooping of the Colour on Queen Elizabeth's official birthday celebrations on June 9th, 2018. She already turned 92 officially in April, but this celebration bringing in more people, involving the public at large a lot more, given that it is at a time in the summer when there are a lot of tourists who have gathered in London. It's a Saturday, lots of school children also out to celebrate the longest reigning monarch in British history's birthday. When exactly, Elizabeth, if I can bring you in again, when exactly was this royal protocol brought into play of celebrating an official birthday in the summer?
So the idea of celebrating an official birthday goes back to the reign of George II in the 18th century. So that's the first time when the monarch's birthday was really celebrated, and with a military parade such as this. It then varied whether it was held on the monarch's actual birthday or whether they had an official birthday as well, depending on the monarch themselves and when their birthday was. Edward VII, who was Queen Victoria's son and reigned at the beginning of the 20th century, his birthday was in November, and at first attempted to hold the parades on his own birthday, but it quickly proves that the weather was against him. It's very dark in Britain in November, and very cold, often very wet. So it was decided instead to move it to the summer, and that's where it stayed since then, regardless of when the monarch's actual birthday is. The date sometimes changes. The Queen originally used to celebrate on a Thursday in June, which was the same date that her father had celebrated his official birthday on. But in more recent years, it's moved to a Saturday, I think, as a reflection of the fact that more people can attend on a Saturday.
Right, and the kids are already on the balcony peering out, trying to catch a glimpse of everything that's going down below. I think the Queen is expected to arrive on the scene very shortly. The march, of course, starting up, the band, pardon me, starting up already. And if I'm not mistaken, Elizabeth, it is the Queen's husband, Prince Philip's birthday tomorrow. How old is he going to turn?
I believe he'll be 97, which is amazing that they're still married, and the fact that they've both reached such advanced ages, truly fantastic, particularly given the health problems that he's certainly had in recent years.
And the British troops, of course, are going to take part in this celebration today in a big way. Are there specific regiments who are chosen for the day? And if you can help us understand which regiments these are that are going to present their colours to the British Queen.
So the regiment that presents their colours changes every year. One particular regiment is chosen. This year it's the 1st Battalion of the Irish Guards, who are the Coldstream Guards. So they've been selected to the honour of presenting their colours. So while there are many regiments in attendance, and it's a real mixture of the armed forces, they are the focus of today, the 1st Battalion of the Irish Guards. All
right. And the horses, they're stunning themselves. I'll ask you a few questions about that later, but just something that came to my mind right now. I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about the tradition that went back to King George II in 1748 is what you pointed out for us. He was born in November, and as you were pointing out for our viewers, it seems that that was too cold a time of the year for official celebrations to be held, and the birthday was then moved into June. Before I go across to Elizabeth, I just want to give our viewers an idea of the visuals on their screens right now. This is the official birthday celebration of Britain's monarch, Queen Elizabeth II. Fans of the royal family and the public at large have gathered in big numbers. It's always celebrated on the second Saturday of June, even though the monarch might be born in another month, as is the case with Queen Elizabeth II. That is, her birthday is in April, but official celebrations taking place today. This is the second big royal event that's taken place in the last couple of weeks. Remember, Queen Elizabeth's grandson, Prince Harry, married the American actress Meghan Markle on the 19th of May 2018, just last month. That was a huge event watched by many, not just in the United Kingdom, but around the world. And I suppose, Elizabeth, it is fair to say that this might be considered the second wave of modernization, if you will, of the royal family. The first phase, of course, came under Queen Elizabeth and her husband, Prince Philip themselves, considering that it was her coronation ceremony that was the first televised one that a number of people were able to catch a glimpse of.
That's right. So the Queen has always been at the forefront of modernising the monarchy. Obviously, the first televised coronation. She makes her address on television every Christmas with the Queen's speech. That's also hugely modernising, really presenting herself to her people. I mean, so much of her life has been lived on camera. When she goes out, of course, she's photographed. These are things that her predecessors haven't had to contend with. Obviously, her family and her life is subject to scrutiny in a way that her predecessors, again, didn't have. So she's absolutely had to move with the times, because of course all members of the royal family are hugely famous, but I mean they're not what you would call celebrities. So actually finding a happy way so that the monarchy can continue to function as it always has, but moving into a more media age has been a real challenge, I think, but one that the Queen has absolutely managed to negotiate.
And I suppose it's difficult, given that a lot of accounts of the Queen describe her as an extremely private person, and yet to appear as somebody approachable, as a monarch of the people. There has to be an interaction that takes place. Media makes it easier, I suppose, but it must be a difficult, rope to walk, considering how private she is considered.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly when she was younger, I believe she was quite shy, and she is a private person, but at the same time, she must be the most famous woman, perhaps the most famous person in the entire world. So it is a very difficult balance to strike between having your private life. I think she does that very well.
Absolutely, and I suppose this is a high security event as well, given how popular she is and how focused the media tends to be on the British royal family. Security arrangements, I suppose, are going to be really up there today for the event.
Security will be incredibly tight, so every one of the spectators will have passed through metal detectors and had their bags searched, just to make sure that they're not obviously carrying anything. The police will have been involved for a long time to ensure that the event runs smoothly and exactly as planned. So absolutely there will be hugely high security, albeit that it's not something we'll necessarily see on the screens, and people attending the parade won't necessarily notice it. It will be low-key, but hugely important, hugely there.
Absolutely. Stay with me a while longer, Elizabeth. Let's let our viewers have a look at these grand visuals coming in from London. So the Queen has arrived on Horse Guards Parade to take the royal salute. She's reviewed her guards while riding slowly down the ranks of the foot guards and the cavalry. This, of course, in a carriage. Now, during the parade, the colour is trooped through the ranks before the foot guards actually march past the Queen, and then the household cavalry and King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery rank past. So that is what's going to take place now. The Queen alighting from the carriage, she is going to take the salute now. She's making her way up the stairs to the dais, from where she will receive the salute. She left Buckingham Palace about 15 minutes ago in a grand procession where she was escorted by the household cavalry. She has just finished reviewing her guards. That took place while the carriage rode around slowly through the ranks, down the ranks of the foot guards, and the cavalry. Now, during the parade itself, and we're talking about the parade which is known as the Trooping of the Colour, the foot guards will march past the Queen, and then the household cavalry, followed by the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery. Members of the royal family have already gathered a little while earlier to celebrate the Queen's official birthday. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex left Buckingham Palace in a carriage en route to the Horse Guards Parade. This is the first time that the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan, is attending the royal event. They were both joined by the Duke of Kent. Right, so these are visuals from the trooping of the colour, the official celebration of the British Queen Elizabeth II's birthday. This is birthday number 2 for the Queen, as is tradition year on year. She turned 92 officially in April. However, this event is conducted in the summer, in the second Saturday of June every year. This so that more members of the public can participate in the celebration of the monarch's birthday. It's a tradition that dates back to George VI, way back in the 18th century. Members of the royal family, of course, have already gathered in London today to watch the celebrations. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex, who got married 3 short weeks ago, that is Prince Harry and Duchess Meghan, the former actress Meghan Markle, are also in attendance at the event. These visuals on your screen from a short while earlier, when members of the royal family made their way from Buckingham Palace over to Horse Guards Parade, where the trooping of the colour ceremony is underway. Now, the entire process lasts for about 3.5 to 4 hours. This was from earlier when Queen Elizabeth II departed from Buckingham Palace as she made her way across to the Horse Guards Parade, where the trooping ceremony takes place every year.